So nice to have you here today joining me. And today we are going to tackle a problem that community brought to us. It is sometimes very challenging when you are creating your first app to decide exactly what you should be doing and how that should be working. So let's see the problem that Nick is having. He's talking about horizontal hug text issue. Hi, I am having an issue. I can't resolve by myself. I want your help. So he wanted these items to be rounded, and he was talking about having a dynamic page with all the content inside that could really be flexible, right? He showed different designs, this one, and this one here. His page has a different design, and this should extend depending on the size of the text. The text is coming from the database. So a way for you to fix that, and I found that totally by chance. Normally what I used to do is to create a top part, and then a center part, and then a bottom part, and then slice it in parts and build it with that. But then when you have several containers, that won't work because you need a loop with your data, right? So what I did was to create those parts here and try it out with it, and it doesn't really work. Why it doesn't work? Because when you are in Bravo, you have the content there, and this tag has a flexo tag, and then it grows according to the text. So if the text would be smaller, you would probably not see it. With Bravo, when you have a long text with flexo, it goes and goes and goes until it ends. A way to fix that with design is to make that background actually fade around the area where you think would always have text. So if this would always have text until here, you could finish it here, or you could even do it early. But the thing is that you would have this transparency or this gradient, and you would not able to see the problem. So that is a design way to fix it. As a solution, I created here this top container that contains the title. So I created this container here as a single container. And you would say, okay, so now how do I loop the rest, right? If you do have items that are just happening all the time, you could either loop them or have them fixed. So for example, this content description here, it's kind of fixed. It always would happen. And then you have more content, and then a least content. So how would this work? Let me show you. Let's create some data here. I created a random collection on Airtable. Here it's a collection of cities. I will share this with my Bravo. So I'm coming to Bravo here to inside my app. I add in data and say Airtable wizard. That's the link. Then I will need a personal token. So I will go back to Airtable just to show where to get it. I come to my face and then Builder Hub. And in here, I create a new token that I called testing. I add the scope and add all the read scope for it. Those three are enough. And I add the random base that I just created and create a token. So I get this token now and use on Bravo and see if everything goes well. It did. Now we have a list and a detail page, right? So this is kind of a detail page. How we would do a list out of it too, just for us to have both. So I will just duplicate this detail page. And in this one, I will remove this area. What I would do, it's actually to loop a single item, right? So we don't really need this whole logic here. It's much simpler. I created an item here, for example, that would be a container too, and we'll just have that one item there. So we don't even need the background itself. It can be transparent, and I will just add here title. Now we need to add a new container because we don't want our app to start on the top. So I will put here a container too. This you prevent it to come on top the list page. And we are doing a prototype that you'll be every time you click on the list page, you are actually going to the detail page. The other thing we can check about is where our starting point is, and now it's not set. So here would be start. If not, you see that the detail page is the one coming on up front. In this case, should be the list page. So now I have fresh again my app on the side. So this is the start of our app. These other things are not being imported because they have the skip tag, and we just have these two screens. Now we are going to refresh the app, and probably we are going to see the list. So we are seeing it. Let's change the status bar to dark because we want to be able to read it. This is a very light design, so we can see it. We can also change the size of the top here and make it always stay on top. We can use the Bravo plugin for that. It's a container top, and that will be none. So now we have a much smaller top, and our status bar will be dark. And if we click, it's working, but it's not showing any data. So now let's do the list. In here in the list, what I want is to loop all the items from that random list we just created. So this will be the list, and we want to group all the records, and here we want to add the title. All the things are here, you can rename them, but we don't need to. So now we are going to see 3 records like our database here, one from Lucerne, one from London, one from Paris. They are not in order. There is a way to fix that in data very easily. That is to add which field you want to do accordingly. So this field here is called all. So I will just put view line equals all. And now our app, you have all the records in the same position. So it really depends if that's important for you or not. If we click now, we are still not receiving data and nothing is being shown. So now we are going to bind the detail page. And the detail page, we are coming to the top, we are getting random, and then we are going to the detail page and image, wow. So this is the image. Then we need the title, the zip code, the category. I just created the same things. And then in description, we want the description. So now we are going to see these fields actually growing and showing the same design, the rounded corner. So if I come to Lucerne, it's showing the title, it's showing the beautiful city I live in. And then we have the description. And if we change the items, now go to London, we have it as well. And then Paris too. And the more content is still not working, so let's bind it. More content here, we are getting from detail, and then we need to put here more and refresh. And once we refresh our app, we are going to get more content, and that's huge and it's still working. So what did I do that make this design work? I added a huge, like this could be depending on the size of your database. You could see what is the record that has the longest text and kind of know that to start. But if I do this here, for example, right now, you see that I will break this field because the content would not ever be just this size. But let's say it's not broken right now. So it doesn't look broken and it looks good on Figma, but this is not stretching automatically. So if I come here and I sync now, you see that the background, you just vanish, you see? And that's why I simply made it grow. I put it here 3000, long enough that it would never broke. I did that for each field. That was simply like that. I am using iOS. I really don't know if this works on Android too. If you have an Android phone and want to try it out, let me know. But I added here a page that's called list because I wanted to teach you something different. And that would be how to make a list. Like in this case, I have 2 other records, right? London and Paris. How would I do that one list? I will just duplicate the list here. And I say others. If I do it like that, and if I come to my app now in the list and I loop that, not the list, but in the others, and I loop that and I put here list, it's the title, and then content will be description. Or if I come to Lucerne, I'm going to see here in the end, Lucerne, London, and Paris. And how did I do that? So I created an end container that is simply just the end. So it's a container with just this end part. And this one part is the one that is repeating right now. So when you do, I do just auto layout here and then do Shift A. And now I duplicate it just for you to see that has a top and a bottom, a top and a bottom, a top and a bottom. And then it encounters with the button I have created and just stays there. And now I will remove the space between the lines for you to see that they will be connected. So this is what I did in this list here on the bottom. And the other cool thing about it, is since we are listing content, for example, you are in Lucerne, you don't want to see Lucerne again in here, right? So how we do that? I created these data orders. So how do we filter them to remove the data that we are in right now? We are going to use a formula. So it's called filter by formula. And what we are going to add is that we don't want to see in this list an ID that is equal the ID that you are in. So in the detail page, we have an ID here that is named ID. And that is the page we are reading. And in this page here, what we are saying is that you get all the items, but not the ID, which means here we also have an ID for this one. And when you get in the receive data here, we don't want this one ID to be equals the ID that we are reading. So the ID of the detail page. And when we hit send, you see that here there are all the records. So you say, no, it's not working. Actually, it is, but we can add an input variable here and say that ID right now is like this string. And you see that actually it will work and that one ID won't show on the list. So now we just have two items. If we refresh our app, since I have linked the content already, you are going to see that in Lucerne, we are not going to see Lucerne anymore, just London and Paris. And in London, Lucerne and Paris. And in Paris, London and Lucerne, right? And what you can do here too, it's link it to the same page, right? So you could create a secondary page that once you click on this item, you would go to the detail page of itself. But I'm not going to create that. This is it for having text inside of a design that is rounded, that has corners, that you want it to, from top to bottom, have some background. You can do it. It would just need to be creative sometimes with this type of solutions. The other problem he was talking about was about doing the same, but for a chat. And what I did here, I created a very simple page using ChatGPT. I just said like how I want the structure to be, and I could get this from my database or a JSON file. So you could create it simply with a script. And then you would have a page where would be dynamic. And in this page, you could embed into your app using WebView. So WebView is a way for you to see any page on your app. So I will do it really quickly right now, just for us to be able to finish, for you to see that working. It will be just a simple rectangle, a simple fill, and we are going to add WebView, and it will ask us for the URL. So I did add this component on my own server, and now when I save it, and I come to my app and refresh, I will be able by clicking on the description to see the chat page, and it's even responsive, right? This you should add to your script what you want. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, And I added here person 1, person 2, and so on. And then I did a better design with it. And afterwards, I just thought, okay, I could improve it and the colors and so on. And that's it. I hope this was useful to you and not just to Nick. If you have any questions about Bravo Studio, if you are creating your own app, if you have anything that has blocked you from having success with your app, just let me know in the comments. I would love to help you solve your problem. If you want to create your own app, just come to my workshop or my course. We will have a new workshop next week on Thursday, July 3rd, and it's free. Me and Nima teaching you live. So join us. I add the link on the description. Hope to see you next Build the Clock. Bye.